Let's get to some breaking news if you're just joining us on NFL Live. This is from Adam Schefter. The Chiefs are getting Frank Clark from the Seahawks. They're sending their first-round pick and a second-rounder in 2020. The teams are also swapping third-round picks this year. And so let's get to some of the details of this, as Clark is going to get paid as well. Adam had all the contract details, and quickly I'll say, the Chiefs get Frank Clark on a 5-year, $105.5 million contract, which is greater than DeMarcus Lawrence, who had $63.5 million guaranteed per source. Let's get to Josina Anderson as well, who spoke to Frank Clark. Frank Clark told Josina on the Chiefs trade, "I feel like I'm good. I wanted to be somewhere where I'm wanted, where I'm appreciated. I thank God that KC came in and showed that. In life, you just want to be shown that you are appreciated sometimes, and I feel like this was one of those things." So we're going to welcome you into the film room, brought to you by Verizon. We have Seahawks reporter Brady Henderson, Chiefs reporter Adam Teicher joining us. I want to start with Brady. So how do you think the Russell Wilson, because Russ just signed this massive record-breaking deal, how does that deal affect what we heard today with Clark?
Well, Jack, people are going to assume that this is a direct byproduct of that, right? The Seahawks can't afford to pay Clark because they just gave Russell Wilson that record deal. I don't think it's that simple. I mean, the two sides have to agree on a price, right? And I never got the sense, from talking to different people that they were all that close on a price. In fact, I spoke with Frank Clark's agent, Eric Burkhart, in October, and he didn't tell me specifically what they were looking for, but the sense all along I got was that it was going to be in that $21 million range. And I just don't think the Seahawks wanted to go there. John Schneider, talked last week. He never denied that the Seahawks were interested in, potentially trading Frank Clark, that they were listening to those offers. But he said, we've budgeted for Frank at $17.128 million, which is the franchise tag number.
Mm-hmm. And Adam, you cover the Chiefs, so you're all over this news. And this has been rumored a little bit for a while. I'm curious, what's better about Clark than the pass rushers that they had in-house?
Yeah, they had Justin Houston. They had Dee Ford. They released Justin Houston. They traded Dee Ford. So they could have had either one or both of those players. In the case of Houston, Frank Clark is 26, or he's going to be 26 in June. So the Chiefs are going to get, theoretically, a lot of good years out of him. Justin Houston is 30 and hasn't been quite the same player he was earlier in his career since his latest knee injury. Now, in the case of Dee Ford, the Chiefs believe that, number one, Clark is a better fit in their new 4-3 scheme that they've changed to this year under their new defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo, but also just a more well-rounded player, not just a pass rusher like maybe Dee Ford is, but a well-rounded player, a player who can defend the run as well.
Phil, it's been a busy birthday for you, my man. What are the details you're hearing on this deal?
Well, here's what we know in terms of the compensation. As has been laid out, the Seahawks now own the 21st and the 29th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, which previously was owned by the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs also are going to send a 2020 second-round pick. They've got two of those. They also own San Francisco's. The less favorable one will go to Seattle, and they also swapped third-round picks this year. Seattle moves back from 84 to 92. Now, the Seahawks entered today with the fewest picks amongst all teams in the NFL Draft, 4. They now have a 5th for 2019, including 2 first-round picks, which, as you said early on in the show, I am officially setting the over-under for number of picks John Schneider makes this weekend at 8. And for the Chiefs, yes, it's a deep class of edge rushers. But if you were to evaluate the talent today versus the talent yesterday, they are unquestionably better. And we're not talking about a team that needed a lot of room to get to the very top of the NFL. Lost in overtime of the AFC Championship game, a game they played at home. They probably feel today like their roster stacks up as well as anybody else's in the NFL, and you have to capitalize on this window. Patrick Mahomes is not making $40 million a year yet. He will soon, like the Seahawks realize. For now, you've got one of the best defensive players in football on your roster. One last footnote here. What a week it's going to be for Eric Burkhart, who Brady just mentioned. His client, Frank Clark, now is a 5-year, $105.5 million deal. And his other notable client this week is Kyler Murray. He could go number 1 overall. That's a double whammy right there for an agent. A massive deal and a potential first overall pick.
Just quickly, I just want to get into the compensation. Do you think, is there any strategy even discussed about the Chiefs maybe going up for one of these great pass rushers for cheaper than they got Clark?
Yeah, and I know that they were discussing that, but here's the deal when you really boil it down. You can throw out the second-round pick maybe that they are going to be sending to the Seahawks next year because that's the one they got for Dee Ford in the trade with the 49ers. So essentially the Chiefs are trading their first-round pick, 29 overall, plus D Ford for Frank Clark. I think I know that's a trade the Chiefs are really excited about, that this is a player only 25 years old. So he's got a little experience, but he still should be headed into the prime years of his career. So I know that's a trade the Chiefs are excited about.
Yeah, it's great stuff. If you guys don't mind sticking around, too, we have a little draft show coming up tonight. We can discuss all the possibilities coming out of this thing.
Adam gets to get on a flight home.
Numbers there. Big time payday for Frank Clark. Drew Lock, he started all 4 seasons at Missouri, giving him the most tape out of all the prospects this year, but a wild NFL comparison could be holding him back. We're breaking down Lock film next.